And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ever edition of the Clutch Podcast, where shift happens. I'm your host, Ron Klinger, excited to be with you today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for dialing in. If this is your first time seeing this, welcome aboard. The purpose of today's show is just to give a general overview on this first season 1, episode 1 debut of the Clutch Podcast. So one of the things I want to make sure that I can focus and highlight on is we want to make sure we talk about what is the podcast known as the Clutch Podcast, where shift happens. First and foremost, thank you for landing here. Secondly, please go out, subscribe, like, hit that subscription button down below, turn on the notifications, follow along at the Clutch Podcast on YouTube. Exclusively put out right now on YouTube. I'm going to transition and move this over to Apple iTunes and other different platforms where you get your podcast. For right now, I'm experimenting, getting started. Best thing to do, we're starting today. That being said, let's talk a little bit about what is the Clutch Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Ron Klinger, excited to be with you. Some of you may have followed along on my journey back to my days that harken on Business 1110 in Houston, where I was the host and producer for the Unleashed Radio Hour. You can still go out and listen to all the podcasts. Find it out at unleashedradiohour.com. Again, unleashedradiohour.com. There's some shows I'm out there I'm proud of. There's some great guests that I had a chance to visit and discuss and interview as well on the show. So keep that out there. I keep it live because it was some good stuff. And it cost a little bit of cheddar, just a little bit of cheddar. So let's get back to it. What is the Clutch Podcast? Just a general overview. What I want to share with you, this is all about what I call clutch topics to challenge and support you, your career, and your business. I've got 20 years of experience in human and organizational development. And there's too much that I'm sitting on that I have to share. I want to share. I'm called upon to share. A small network of individuals that said, you need to take this live. You need to share your information. You can be of help. That's what I'm wanting to do. If anyone that knows me, you know that on my heart of purest of hearts, I was put on this earth to serve. Plain and simple, period, end of conversation. And so that's what I'm working to do. This is just a platform that I'm working to try to get to it. One of the things that we're going to do throughout the journey known as the Clutch Podcast is my goal is to bring information, tools, and resources to the airwaves. Information that can help you, your business, your career. Primarily, I really want to help managers and leaders take the information and put it to practice so that not only you can win, your team can win, and then overall, your business wins. That's the point of the show. That's where the shift happens, because we've got to change the mindset on how some things are doing, what's taking place in the work world today. And I'm looking forward to getting started. I'm getting started today. Probably not going to be my best show, but we got to get it going. That being said, talking about shows, I'm looking at doing about 3 to 5 podcast streams a week, right? You can find it exclusively on YouTube at The Clutch Podcast. So just search for at The Clutch Podcast and you will find it. Follow along. It's going to be a format. And I adopted this back in my days where I was on the radio, where I would have a monologue. That's just me. So take monologue, make it a monologue. That's my way of trying to have a little bit of fun and really just share some information and tools. I also want to be able to reach out and bring guests, authors, best-selling authors, which I did and was successful on the radio. So as the momentum, as I get going with the Clutch Podcast, as I get subscribers and followers, I want to be able to bring meaningful, interactive, articulate guest such as Mike Rowe. So if Mike Rowe from the Rowe Works is listening, or you know Mike Rowe, love what he's doing. He's bringing a perspective that's shifting how we see things. So that clutch, that whole shift on, hey, young people, newsflash, you need to look at the trades. I pause because, folks, there's more than one way to succeed in life. There's more than one way to be successful. And I'm telling you, that's the goal. I want to bring as many of those different ideas here. I want to be able to help take an idea, shift the perspective, and really hopefully help challenge you, but also support you with those resources. Format's going to be 15-minute shorts. So I'm going to be doing the shorts, bits and bites. And then where I have an opportunity to dig in a little bit deeper, go a little bit wider with the content or have interviews, those will run about 45 minutes. That's the goal. That's where I'm starting today, right? I want this content to be engaging. I want this content to come to you live. I mean, I'm still working on the lighting. I'm still working on the camera angles, the audio, the recording, all that it takes to produce this. But at the end of the day, what I want to matter most is the content. I want to give you content that's got context, that can help you and engage you. And while we're having fun along the way, more power to be. Before I go any further, I got to introduce a little character. That's the little red whistle. Like the little red whistle goes with me everywhere when I'm training, when I'm out doing coaching and consulting, but also was an adamant part of the Unleashed Radio Hour. So I hope you'll allow the little red whistle to have some fun and make some appearances now and again when we're putting an emphasis on some information that we're sharing here on the Clutch Podcast. So, Ron, you may be asking yourselves out there, everybody, what are some of those really clutch topics you're talking about? So we start talking about the topics, things like employee engagement. If you're anywhere, you're running any business, you're a manager or you're a leader, you're a CEO, I don't care. The holy grail in today's world is how well can you positively engage your team members. So that employee engagement is going to be something that's going to be peppered in through and to a lot of topics. We're also going to talk about management and leadership principles. Now, that's an area that I get out and I do quite a bit of training. Have developed customized programs. I have trained thousands of leaders in my 20 years. Why do I share that with you? Because my personal, humble opinion, when you look at an organization, no one, and I mean no one, has a greater impact on employee engagement than the mid-managers. How they show up, how they lead. So I've got a whole suite of topics that we can talk about from the strategic all the way to the tactical. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be having an opportunity to talk about those topics, management and leadership. Talent management, in essence, how do you best lead the people? How do you take care of your human capital all the way from your recruiting to your retirement and your offboarding? Every bit of those phases matter. Why? Because, oh, by the way, the holy grail topic, employee engagement, it impacts the engagement level of your employees. So we're going to be talking about best practices that hiring organizations can think about. Best practices. And if you're out searching, I'm going to do everything that I can to bring recruiters, to bring professional folks that are out there who are headhunting, who are trying to help make that perfect match between an employer and a candidate. There's a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of ways to go. And I'm going to tell you right now, MC Hammer style, it is too legit to quit. And that is why we pray this job market is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It is absolutely insane. It is October of 2025, and I have never seen anything like what we're experiencing today. So we're going to get into that talent management, that's that career, that's development, but also come at it from a candidate perspective. In addition, we're going to talk about organizational development. What does your culture look like? Your values, your mission, your vision, things that have moxie, things that have that sticky factor that make a difference as to whether an employee wants to stay, go, or grow. So we'll talk about that from an organizational development perspective. A lot of these topics fall under that as the largest of umbrellas. The next piece that we're going to dial in and talk to, going to get into that community engagement. So if you're out there, whether you're an employer or an employee, or you're working for yourself, how are you engaged in the community around you? As a huge emphasis that I'm going to place on that right now, especially with the times of where we're at, we need to be positively engaged in our communities. We need to be giving back. We need to be volunteering. We need to be connected. We need to have that presence, and that essence of our presence can ring true. We're also going to bring in, there's going to be segments where we're going to bring about shifting gears, right? If the Clutch Podcast is where shift happens, this is where I'm going to talk about books. This is where I'll bring different ideas or vignettes or maybe something that I've read from the Gallup organization or a poll or something that's come up recently. I'm going to dial that in and make sure that I share some of those thought-provoking, gear-shifting ideas. In addition, I want to bring on a segment. It's called Be Better. We really have a great opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. Every day we have human interactions with one another. We need to be better. We need to be better connecting. We need to be better by giving grace. We need to get better, which is why that community engagement is so important. It's so easy to connect with people if you know who they are. So big part on that human connection, a big part on just being better. That can be just letting somebody in on the highway, right? Versus letting them know that they're number one in your world. And you know what I mean there. Last but not least, who knows what's going to come up? A topic may be of critical mass. I might jump on my phone. I may sit here in studio as I continue to evolve my tools, my resources, software, hardware, etc. But at the end of the day, this is about you, the listener. This is about me trying to bring information, tools, resources to the airwaves in this Clutch podcast that can help you be clutch in what you do day in and day out. That being said, that's what I've got. Would absolutely love for you to go out, do me a huge solid. Please go out. Please dial in. Please look at, yes, I'm still learning which buttons to push. Please subscribe to the Clutch Podcast, right? That subscribe is out there. All you got to do is search for @the Clutch Podcast on YouTube. Search for @the Clutch Podcast on YouTube. Once I start getting into other media and other downloadable formats and other arenas, Apple iTunes and all other places where you can get your podcast, I will let you know. But I'm getting started here. I'm getting started now. And the only way that this works is if I've got folks that are listening. So if you feel the need, please do so. Subscribe, turn on those notifications so that you know, follow along when a new episode comes out of the Clutch Podcast. Share the Clutch Podcast with others that you feel that this might be of value to them, value to their time, value to their drive, right? You know, I'm trying to give those bits and bytes so that if you're commuting to and from work, because yes, people are back at work, that you've got information, tools, and resources that you can think about that can help you give a little pep in your step, give you an opportunity where you can dial in and you can be successful and or challenge conventions if that's the appropriate thing to do. Again, I'm your host, Ron Klinger. I greatly appreciate your time, your presence today. I thank you for listening in, whether this is now or many years down the road. The whole purpose of this is to give an overview. I hope to look back at this podcast and say, oh my gosh, that's what you produced. That's what you did. I'm going to keep pushing the envelope to make this more impactful. I'm going to keep pushing the envelope to make this more meaningful. Please feel free to give feedback. Again, I can't say it enough. Sharing is caring, and I would appreciate your support as I get the Clutch Podcast off the ground. If you'd like to learn more, you can always reach out to me. The Clutch Podcast is a production of Motivational Transitions. You can learn more at motivationaltransitions.com. You can also reach out to me directly via that website. You can follow me at Ron Unleashed on the Xverse. It's not the Twitterverse anymore, but at Ron Unleashed. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your presence, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you a wonderful week ahead. Look forward to what you're doing. Bring energy, bring that passion, and I'll be back on the airwaves as soon as I get this all mastered and I get this first episode up and running. Again, thank you for your time, your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, see ya.